Hello, I'm Phil, welcome to my channel, and this is day 5 of Who Week. The run up to Series 11, I have been looking back at previous eras earlier on in the week. The plan was to have a video out every day leading up to Sunday and Series 11 launching. However, I did miss a day due to technical issues and my own stupidity of deleting a video, and also exporting issues. So I'm a day behind and I've had to cut a video. I'm not going to catch up with that one. I was going to have a video which would have come out yesterday about what we know so far about Series 11, but I figured that's the one to cut because there's quite a lot of those all over the internet already. Loads of people have already done videos about them. There's articles galore. You can find out any information I would have put in that video elsewhere. So instead, today I'm going to be looking forward and saying what my hopes, my dreams, my general desires for Series 11 are. We know so little about Series 11 compared to what we've known about other series. Usually at this point we'd know a bit more, and therefore I might be able to talk a bit more specifics about things, but we have to be very vague. But we have also, contrary to that, been told some things we're definitely not getting. Now, of course, people can lie, and who knows, Moffat certainly lied a lot, maybe Chibnall does too. So some of these things are going to be edging around the whether or not, and altering slightly with whether or not that we've been told that they definitely won't be happening or not. On that theme, the first thing I'm going to mention is the Daleks and the Cybermen. We've been told there's no Daleks, there's no Cybermen. Chris Chibnall has said that in Series 11, neither of those, and I think that's good news. I think they both need a rest. I'm fed up of seeing the Daleks every single year. I don't think there's been a single series of Doctor Who since it came back where we haven't had at least a cameo of the Daleks. And I think in order to maintain their threat level, they need to show up less often. So I don't want to see them even in a cameo this year. I don't want to see them even for 1 second in the background of a shot. I don't want to see Daleks seen or mentioned this year on Doctor Who. Not even a cameo. They need a well-deserved rest. Now, every Doctor should, of course, battle the Daleks at some point, so maybe they should come back in Series 12, or maybe 13. Maybe they should leave them just a little bit longer. I'm sure Jodie will probably end up doing 3 series, like most other than Eccleston have done. So I think maybe leave it to 13, but definitely leave it till 12. Next, I want to talk about returning characters, because we've been led to believe we probably won't be getting any other than the Doctor themselves. They've certainly name-checked several which we won't be getting, one of which was Missy. Chris Chibnall said we're definitely not getting any Missy. Again, he could be lying. And they have emphasised that they want to keep it very accessible, not bogged down with the history of the show this year particularly, because they want to rope in a lot of new viewers, which is great and a good idea. However, I would like to see some returning elements. It would be nice. And I think if I was going to pick 2, they would be 2 that I think have the most likelihood of getting in because they have connections to Chibnall already. The first of those is Kate Stewart, who was introduced in a Chibnall episode, The Power of 3. So there's a reasonable chance that he might decide to, as he was the one to introduce her, bring her back in. And, Unit might show up as well. That's always a possibility. And if they do, I think they should show up with Kate. The other one, who I always want to see back, is Captain Jack Harkness. Again, Chibnall has a connection because he was showrunner for Series 2 of Torchwood, so he has a connection to that character, possibly an affinity with that character. However, I think Jack does come with quite a lot of baggage in terms of storyline. I'm sure there are ways you could introduce him to be accessible, but I think if they're going for really, really accessible this time, maybe they might leave him a bit longer, even if they're thinking about bringing him back. That might be a Series 12 thing. However, Kate, I think, is much, much easier to bring back without any baggage at all. And you can introduce everything you need to her really simply without being exposition heavy. So I'm keeping my fingers crossed that we might get to see Kate Stewart again, because we didn't see her in Series 10, and I missed her a bit. She's great. I like her. Now let's talk about story arcs, because when Chris Chibnall was announced, one of the things that I got excited about was the fact that he was previously the showrunner of and the writer of Broadchurch, a very heavily serialised told over 3 series, and I think a lot of people assumed that he'd be bringing that element with him to Doctor Who. However, unfortunately, that is not the case. It was revealed a couple of days ago, I think, in an interview that Matt Stevens, the executive producer of one of the executive producers of Doctor Who, that there will be no ongoing plot story arcs like we've had. Every series we've had for the last 13 years has had some kind of ongoing plot story arc. We've either had, sometimes it's bigger, sometimes like series 6 it's really in-depth and maybe some would argue a little too complicated and convoluted. Sometimes it's much simpler and very subtle, like the Bad Wolf stuff or the Torchwood stuff. But according to Matt Stevens, we're not getting anything. No plot connective tissue. There'll be no reveal of a bad guy behind it all at the end. Again, the caveat still maintains could be lying, but so I'm a little disappointed with that. However, he has said any sort of element of story arc we see is going to be the evolving relationships between the Tardis team, and that I quite like the sound of. I don't want them to be static. I don't want them feeling like a fully formed team immediately after the first episode. I would like that to be a more gradual development. And I don't want there to be like the second episode be the episode where they have to come together and put aside any differences they've got to work together, and then at the end of the episode, yay, they're the team, and now they're going to be this status quo for the rest. I want to see it change subtly and smallly throughout the smallly, is that even a word? In a small way each episode, so it gradually develops throughout the whole series. On a similar thing, one idea that might be quite nice to try out, because I don't think it's been done before, and it's always nice to have something a bit different in terms of the dynamic on the TARDIS, is a budding romantic relationship on the TARDIS. Between companions, nothing to do with the Doctor. I don't want to see the Doctor be romantically involved this series, or for a long time. Not that I have anything against the Doctor having romantic relationships, but I think she should be very few and far between. And possibly, we've seen a bit too much in the last 13 years. I loved the whole River Song thing. I know some people didn't. I loved it. But I think now, if the Doctor's going to be romantically involved with someone, it needs to be few and far between. Leave it a decade before we have another Doctor romance. But the companions are another matter. Now, what we've seen before, we have seen people that are already in relationships join the TARDIS team. So you kind of had Rose and Mickey, although they effectively split up. So you had a TARDIS team involving someone and their ex. You had the married couple with Amy and Rory. But they were all existing relationships, pre-TARDIS relationships. What would be interesting for me to see, and I think would be a good idea to try out, would be to see the first budding blooms. I'm getting carried away with my metaphors of flowers here, but the first seeds. There we go again. Of a relationship. So maybe Ryan and Yasmin don't know each other at the beginning. They are brought together via circumstances that they also meet the Doctor. Now, people that have already seen the first episode of this will know if I'm already talking rubbish and they do already know each other, but I haven't seen it yet. So, say they don't know each other at the very start. They meet each other at the same time as they meet the Doctor. I think it would be interesting to see over their first series, Series 11, them gradually form a romantic relationship. Gradually, and it needs to be subtle, and it needs to be not a massive big plot point. Just gradually, subtly get closer together, form the bond, and maybe into a romantic relationship. That could be really interesting, and I don't think it's something we've ever seen before. Let's talk the TARDIS, because I have not seen the leaked images. I have not seen the first episode, which some people have. So, again, some people will know if I'm just completely off the mark here, but my hope for the TARDIS interior, the console room, is that it is at least multi-story. Because I don't like small, confined TARDIS console rooms as much. I think the best console room so far has been the 12th Doctor's TARDIS. It had levels, three different levels. It had walkways and doorways that led, you could see there were doorways that led off to different places, and I thought that was really good. It gives a much better space to work with in terms of filming in that space. I mean, as revolutionary as the 9th and 10th Doctor's TARDIS was, most of the shots kind of look similar in there. You can do a bit more with multi-level, is what I'm saying. And it looks more interesting. So I'd like to see that again. But you'll probably already know if I'm right if you've seen the leaked images. I have not properly seen them. I scrolled past one. I kind of got the gist of the theme, but I didn't really see the detail. So I'm going to keep my fingers crossed. And my final wish for Series 11 is about a type of story that we haven't seen for a while. Historical stories. Now, we know we're getting an episode set in the mid-20th century. We've seen the cars and things in America. I think it's mid-20th century America. It's rumoured to be the Rosa Parks episode. But what if there were no alien threats? What if there were no technology from the future or an alien planet or anything like that, and it was a pure historical? For the last couple of years, for my Doctor Who Rebrief series, I've been watching a lot of William Hartnell stories, and you know what? I was surprised at how much I liked quite a lot of the historical stories. Not all of them. Some of them have boring moments, but I actually think that modern Doctor Who could pull off a pure historical and be really, really interesting. And there is the fact that the production team themselves have said and referenced that first William Hartnell era of Doctor Who as a big inspiration for this series, for Series 11. So that leaves me some hope that they might try this out. Now look, it might not work, I don't know, but I think it could work and it could be really interesting. So there you go, that's just a few things of my hopes for Series 11. What do you hope happens in Series 11? Have you got any specific desires you want to see, some things you want to happen, things you definitely don't want to happen? Let me know in the comments below, and I will, see you tomorrow for Series 11 review, hopefully. I'll try and get it up the same day. Series 11 Episode 1 review. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, all that jazz. And hey, why not check out some of the previous Who Week videos here for you to admire and watch. And I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.